Today we're going to explore feeding behavior and why it's much more important than you think. It's a contributing factor in some behavioral problems. We're fortunate to have several studies that seem to indicate that cats are animals that eat small meals regularly. They're very different from dogs, who can go a long time between meals. If you feed your cat at the same frequency as your dog, this video is especially important for you. You may have seen the 5-a-day Felix report recommendation by Dr. Serra and Lizzie Rowe of International Cat Care. One of the main recommendations is to feed your cat 5 meals a day. Let's explore where this recommendation comes from. Cats eat between 10 and 15 mice a day in the wild, and we've known this since 1977. We're not quick to adapt, I guess. In the Chemical Senses and Nutrition 1977, Mugford mentions that the cats in his experiment spread their meals out over the 24 hours of the day, eating an average of 13.3 times per day. He cites studies by Komen and Brunner 1972 and Uwer 1973 that showed that cats preferred prey species that are small rodents. And he mentions that the caloric intake of a mouse is about the same as the typical meals consumed by the cats in his experiment. I took his graph below and then I turned it into a 24-hour graph for the cats only, not for the dogs. It's clear that cats spread their meals out over the entire day. In 1989, Nutrition of the Dog and Cat, Waltham Symposium number 7, mentions a 1981 study by Kane that came up with a total of 15.7 to 17.4 meals per day, spread out over both the night and day, as well as an unpublished study that came up with 11.4 and another 10.4 meals per day. So we're all around the same idea that they eat multiple times a day. He also mentions that the energy provided by a 26-gram mouse is approximately 140 kilojoules, based on a 1960 study by Bailey. Since an adult cat requires about 335 kilojoules per kilogram of body weight, he concludes that the cat's nutritional needs would be met by eating 10 mice a day. Cats hunt at just about every opportunity they get. If they see prey, they chase it. You may have noticed this in your cats if they go outdoors on a leash or freely. Cats don't ask themselves, "Am I hungry?" They generally hunt whenever the opportunity presents itself. Why? Well, if you have to eat multiple times a day and you can't catch prey every time, you can't afford to wait until you're hungry. You have to jump at every opportunity. In The Domestic Cat, The Biology of Its Behavior, 3rd edition, Turner mentions that 2 of his master students conducted studies on Swiss farms that concluded that feeding twice the required amount in a day had no effect on predatory behavior. In 2021, Cecchetti, Crowley, Goodwin, and McDonald published the results of their study, Provision of High Meat Content Food and Object Play Reduced Predation of Wild Animals by Domestic Cats, Felis catus, in which they mentioned that households where cats were fed a diet high in meat protein saw a 36% reduction in the number of prey items captured and brought home by their cat, and that households where 5 to 10 minutes of play per day were implemented saw a 25% reduction. However, it is clear that these cats continued to hunt quite a bit and bring back prey significantly. They are in hunting mode even if they are well fed and entertained. In The Domestic Cat, The Biology of Its Behavior, 3rd and 2nd edition, Turner reported different data relating to the success rate of hunting. It's mentioned that cats need on average between 2 to 5 attempts to capture prey, depending on the prey species. Depending on the season, cats use between 40 minutes and 3 hours of their time per prey. The table below is from the 2nd edition. In 2019, Parker, Lamoureux, Challet, Deputte, Biourge, and Serra conducted a study entitled Daily Rhythms of Food Intake and Locomotor Activity in a Colony of Domestic Cats. They observed that cats ate approximately 8 meals per day. Their graph also shows that cats ate at all times of the day, with peaks at around 4 or 5 a.m., 9 a.m., and between 5 and 8. What we can take away from this is that cats absolutely do not tend to eat only 2 meals a day. If they have to consume 10 mice per day, it's a sign that their physiology is designed to ingest small, frequent meals. Consequently, offering them only 2 or 3 meals a day can lead to problems because we're not respecting the way nature made the cat's body. Our cat can end up being much hungrier than they would be in nature, or even feeling starved. Our cats have zero control over their diet. We decide where, when, and how they will be able to eat. The feeling of loss of control over an activity essential to their survival is something that is likely to contribute to an increase in the overall stress level. How does this influence behavior? Well, if I'm very hungry and I have no way of finding food, I will be uncomfortable, frustrated, or even anxious. If your cat meows at you a lot, wakes you up at night or early in the morning, becomes aggressive towards you, etc., it may be that control over their diet is a significant factor. In any case, it's interesting to consider it. Aiming for 5 meals a day or more is a good rule of thumb, as mentioned in the 5-a-day Felix report. Now you know where this recommendation comes from. Typical cat behavior is to eat about 10 times a day, day and night. There are several ways to help you accomplish more meals, including in multi-cat households. So you might have a microchip feeder, microchip cat flap room, separate cats in different rooms for meals. You might have a kibble throwing machine, a timer feeder, food puzzles, etc. If you decide to free feed your cats, this allows them to eat when they feel the need to, but the danger is that many cats can become overweight if they don't necessarily know how to limit themselves. Food puzzles can be a good option. They create an activity where there is some effort in problem solving and work required to access food, which can slow down cats who tend to overeat. In 2021, Delgado, Anne, and Bain published a study that indicated that cats do not appear to be contra-freeloaders, meaning that unlike other species, they do not tend to prefer working for their food over having it effortlessly. This does not mean that the cats in the study did not use the puzzles. It simply means that they did not do so more than they ate from the plates. In the table below, the numbers indicate the use of the puzzles for different trials, so numbers above 0. If the number is 0.5, the cat ate as much from the puzzle as from the plate. If it is below 0.5, the cat will have eaten more from the plate than from the puzzle, and vice versa for numbers above 0.5. So cats may want to make an effort to get food, just as one might find it interesting to make the effort of a raclette rather than being served their whole meal. Finally, once the cat has eaten, what do? Some cats will scratch the ground near the food dish in an attempt to cover the remaining food, much like they cover their urine and droppings. In the Domestic Cat, the Biology of its Behavior, 3rd edition, Bateson and Turner mention some possible reasons for this behavior. A sanitary reason, because the cat did not like this food very much. A conservation reason for future ingestion. So the authors mention that in their personal correspondence with Fitzgerald, he mentions that feral cats have been occasionally observed to retrieve food that they had hidden in this manner. And I would add that this may be to prevent the smell of the food from attracting predators of the cat. The authors mention that this behavior pattern is remarkably robust and resistant to repeated failures, such as on a hard floor in a house. We can therefore think about this as a possible map. Here's a kitten in a community garden covering the excess food that I had brought. So this is quite behavior that's common, apparently. So there you have it, an overview of the typical feeding behavior of the cat species. I hope this has helped you better understand why we should feed our cats several times a day when we love them and want them to be well.